All right. So I hope you've put it all together as I've been putting it all together since my last few videos about the cult of Scary Potter, intercourse, Hester Prynne did not sin. Also, the one that I most recently did about Hollywood and the cleft chin. In that, I explained that I pretty much realized that this reptilian race, the Draconians, are dramatists. They need a lot of attention, applause. They need everyone to see them up on the stage. But why were they designed like that? Because remember, that's a slave class. The whole of Hollywood is a slave class, right? They have to be drugged. Many of them are MK Ultras. They've been traumatized very deeply. They have to go into mental health clinics all the time and be programmed as borderline personalities. So they have no identity. They are just doing what the program requires of them. And it was clear from the many people that put up videos to support my evidence of the cleft chin is definitely atavism from the Draco race. So someone even shared a video of a man who is a specialist on the reptilian genetics and what it looks like when it merges with a human. And sure enough, when I looked at that guy, he had the cleft chin. So there it is. His name is Brandon Lashbrook. And you can't even see it because of the glare, but that's just what a Draco looks like. See if I can hold it. See the cleft chin? That is very like what a Draco looks like. Okay, so, and he did a whole thing on reptilian atavism, and apparently he's a specialist. The reason that I'm not interested in reposting that is that the other thing about that lineage, not only are they like performers and dramatists and they love their god of chaos, like he opens that video with the god of chaos and all this dramatic music. They feed on chaos. They have different skulls. They have different body temperature, a different number of vertebrae, a different number of ribs, and in fact, a very different coccyx because they used to have tails. So I also received a lot of people sent the information about the coccyx and what really makes you a 33-degree Mason is a particular DNA sequence and the 4 nerves that connect to the coccyx. So in this group, this reptilian group, that is apparently why there is a lot of sodomy, because it connects to certain nerves. Sorry, I can't show you that one. That's the whole description of this woman named Layla. Researched all of this. Hopefully you're able to see it. All right, and she said that that is why the whole anus fuckery goes on. Okay, it has nothing to do with natural love or even love, or I love you so much. It literally has to do with nerves, and that's why many of the priests and the people in Hollywood and the politicians are all in that category of anal fuckers because they're all related. It's the same group. I guess it was 1973 when an actor named Marlon Brando said something to the effect of he would not take the Oscar award because they were all Zionists. So I don't know what a Zionist is. I honestly don't, but I know it's definitely that group, the ASHKENAZ group that are both religious and political, but they try and make chaos. You have to understand their way of collecting loosh, because they have a different brain compartment in their brains, is they store when they feed upon our emotions. So not only is your TV a weapon because it's putting out 2.4 gigahertz, which is a waveform, and you're actually a waveform that should be moving at 7.83, or I'm sorry, 7.83 is the Schumann, but your heartbeat should be definitely following a particular waveform. So when you're interacting with these devices, they are meant to ruin your natural frequencies. They cause positive ionization rather than negative ionization, and they goo up your blood, particularly now that we have so many towers. A big problem is like the coagulation of the blood from just radiation poisoning. Now, what I have figured out is also that these draconians are slaves to the technological beings called the Anunnaki, and so they designed them to be dramatists. And they can't get out of their chaos drama thing. They want death and destruction. So I listened to an old Tracy Twyman interview from 2018 when Tracy was still in that same mind space as I was, like, where are we and what's going on here? Are we on some kind of a prison planet? So it was good to hear her back in that old dialogue that we were all trying to figure out at that time. But she had all the numbers of how Hollywood is actually run by the CIA and the Pentagon. And she thinks that they do not even have their own budget. Like, literally, the government funds Hollywood, as does the Gray Pope. So it's a religious, political, like, broadcasting unit. And her numbers of how many, like, destruction in a single day, horrible alien invasion, lewd, rape, horror shit goes on. Hundreds of thousands of movies on that topic. So because you are a generator, that you are actually an electrical being, you generate that kind of garbage. And I'm absolutely sure of that now, folks, because now I've gotten to a level within my own practice and study of the full spectrum human materials with Aurora and the dance of the flying rainbow lasagna that we are making this up. And you see, when you're resonating at that first and second chakra of like survival and sex, bad sex, survival and, rape and incest and pedophilia, which is what these movies are about. Even the books are about them. It's hard to get even a clean book or a clean thought in this insane upside down situation. But you're generating what they're putting out there. And that's why political stuff is all theater too. The statements that they make is a theater script, and they're trying to collect loosh off of it because they have different compartments in the brain. One of them they call the Ark of the Covenant. All right, it's not the real Ark of the Covenant, but that's what they're calling it. Is like it stores the pain and suffering and the loosh in their brain, and it literally sucks it, and then they can use it later for some black magic ceremony. So if you understand that the Dracos and the residual reptilian trait is like that cheft chin, because I said it again, cheft chin, cleft chin, because that guy, I couldn't listen to his video because it's so horrible and his voice sounds like a fucking mass murderer. But he does talk about the groove right there. See if you can see that. The groove is from the snake anatomy. So I was exactly right. He's talking about the cleft chin, and the snake anatomy is that groove right there. So here's a guy on, doing his own podcast, but he's very like sorcerer energy, like the Hollywood people, where they suck you into thinking how great it is that you're part snake. Well, if you're part snake, you basically exist in those first and second chakras. Okay, you never got past that. You cut your connection off from divinity long ago, and that's the problem, all right? So that's where they want to keep us, because here's the other thing I realized. The Nag Hammadi texts and all the stuff from like the Gnostic Sophia stuff, that's written by the Nag. It's written by the snake being. So when they're talking about how do we get out of here, how do we get out of here, that's them. They can't get out of here. We can. We can when we activate our full spectrum, our full, what you're going to call rainbow light body. Okay, so that is what I've been working on. And even like right now, I have my knee brace on because I've had a week of some arthritis stuff. The weather's changing, it's quite hot, and I sat too long in a seated position one day, and then it got stuck. But even yesterday, I danced the Flying Rainbow Lasagna in my chair. It was just as awesome as if I was rolling around on the ground. So there's nothing to prevent any of you from doing that. And what you're doing is you're rolling back and forth and you're super coiling, but you're also going through time kind of like this, okay? And you're super coiling your DNA. That's what you're doing. So I want, Aurora, it's Aurora's dance, and you have to know Aurora and be studying with her to be part of it and have her approval. But I just want you to know, no matter what your perceived physical ability is, I mean, I have a knee brace on, I was dancing in the chair. Yeah. So everybody's capable of this. Everybody is capable of that full spectrum human. Now, I shared a couple of Jack Kruse's videos, which I think are essential. He's got a slightly different take on what light is, but he is correct. We are really photosynthesis beings. This is a physical body that has 2 extra carbons, but we are actually photosynthesis beings. All of our energy comes from the sun. So what I love about Jack is that he said the Sphinx has its feet down facing east every morning for the sunrise. And so I've been doing that because now I understand from Jack Kruse's perspective that your body is being read all the time by our star, by the sun, for every hormone that it needs, like what tissue repair, like my knee, what does it need? Cellular growth, regeneration of the telomeres, all of that kind of stuff. That and grounding, like always having your feet on the ground, having your hands in the soil, weeding, touching, grounding with the earth, makes you this electromagnetic voltage machine. All right, so Jack is correct about all of that, in my opinion. He says that the blue light from the screens and the light bulbs and all the artificial light is what's causing the disease in everyone. And I've talked about that already. Like, if you're going to have a light bulb in your house, it's got to be incandescent, and don't really use it unless you have to. Like, we go to bed when it's dark, and we get up when it's light. It's very simple. It's not really very hard. Even I have to use crutches to get to the bathroom right now. I still don't turn on the light. I believe that my eyes can adjust because my eyes are very strong from sun gazing. Now, the thing that people are asking me to respond to is Jack's knowledge of the wobble, all right? So Jack knows that we're about to have a precessional shift and that true north has been moved back to Siberia. So it's happened in the last 20 years, but in the last 20 days, it's also happened very, very fast. So in the last 20 years, it just did a movement that was so fast. Now, who's been here for 20 years? To be that true north needle is Aurora. So I think she's our true north. She's like the way to navigate back to our highest selves and our ability to be fully human again and get this nog stuff out of us. So it's moved over to Siberia. The south, which is what I was already seeing and talking about in 2024, the waters were shifting, and they are shifting so much now that where I live in the Gulf of Mexico, the tide is out like over 1.5 miles, and then when it comes in, it's raging against the shore so that there are rip tides now where there's never been rip tides. So that means it's got a lot more draw out, and then when it comes in, it's churning like the whole beach away. So we've actually had 44 dolphins die. The radiation of the first mile of the water could be affecting them, and it's just because we are losing our magnetosphere. So Jack is advising people to be in certain locations where the inclination of the vortex of the planet from the spin of the planet is increasing, and we will have more ability to, like, because we're electrical beings, to increase with it. What I do is I move, you know, I'm nomadic. I would love everyone to be a little bit more flexible where you live, honestly. Don't put your roots down and think you're going to retire here and collect your 401k, because I don't think any of that is going to happen either. I don't like to get onto my oracular pedestal, but I'm telling you straight out, folks, I retired. I don't think there any of the financials that we ever saw are going to continue to exist very soon. In addition, you know, there's the issue of that Jack is proposing of where will food be growable, because if you're in a high radiation area with the seas reversing, like the water is being sucked apparently from the southern oceans to the northern oceans right now, the seas are going to change, the climates are going to change, and they are changing because we're going through a precession. We've got to get back on track. So the earth should be perfect paradise, never snow, ever snow. All right, the earth should be, that's how we are photosynthesis beings, is the earth needs to get its alignment back so that we can get back to being photosynthesis beings. So all of this has got to happen at the same time. And my best suggestion to you is to be flexible about where you live. Really, I mean, you don't want to live in a dark place in the winter as long as they are still spraying the skies, because that slows down your mitochondrial suns like crazy. And if your mitochondrial suns are weak or tired, then you're going to start having the illnesses, but also you're not going to be able to supercoil that DNA. You're not going to be able to self-repair. Like, I'm self-repairing really quickly. I basically, again, like last year at this time, getting a new leg. It's growing. I can feel my Kundalini energy coming up through it. So that's because I'm a sun gazer. And so first priority for me is, where can you gaze at the sun? Where are you far away from what Jack calls non-native EMF, meaning, you know, towers and data centers and so forth, and people who have the biosensors in their bodies, you cannot be near them, because then they are transmitters. You're like standing next to a 5G tower. You have to realize, anyone who's got the biosensors in them, you are within their field of energy. They're transmitting like a 5G tower through you too. So even if you haven't, if you're within like 6 feet of someone who has, or surrounded by them, you're going to lose your content really quickly. It's going to wipe you. And it can also insert thoughts. That's why please do not integrate the shadow. It can insert feelings. It can insert memories. I've heard them talk about what they can insert at the World Economic Forum, with those speakers saying, you know, oh, we can make them think that they did that, but they really didn't do that, or that did happen, or it didn't happen. You know, like, it's crazy, folks. That's why don't integrate the shadow. This is all baloney technology. Okay, so in terms of where to be, I'm still doing as far as I can Florida in the winter, you know, for 8 months here to get my sunlight. That's very important. If it starts to feel like the oceans are doing something strange and the energies are changing, then I will go back up north. That's where I spend the summer in New Hampshire, and I garden like crazy everywhere. The community here that we're growing together is just unbelievable. You can probably see how calm and relaxed I am, because I'm living within a small group of growers where we can get food without going to the grocery store. And we have Zane staying here with us, who's just unbelievable, making gardens and creative projects. And so, Sandy's here and some others are buying some land. And so it's really great. I think that you want to be with other people that can provide resources and know how to work hard and think well, and let the sun be their guide, know how to dance, know how to have fun, enjoy, and prepare for the next civilization as a free human, finally, okay? These dramatists have been dragging us down because they know they can't get out of here. So what we're going to do is leave them behind. You have to be able to get into your rainbow light body. And as I said to someone who is asking this question of why I'm making this video, is really the most important thing is, do you have enough energy to really make your rainbow light body? Can you start to use your higher skills, your psychic gifts for, good and good only? Can you purify your mind? Where is that place that you can eat clean food? And water is, of course, going to be the big deal, because once we have the big CME release, there will be no plastic on the planet. So don't keep water in plastic. Live near an aquifer or a spring, or start storing water in pottery, like pottery type of setups. I've got a few of those in New Hampshire, the old glazed jugs, stuff like that. I'm not kidding you. Okay, because anything that is synthetic is going to be bye-bye once we have the big CME. And let me just look at my notes from Jack's videos. Yeah, so in 1859, we had the Carrington event, but before that, and he also talked quite a bit, it's in the community page, about Mars didn't make it. Only Aurora is really able to explain how Mars tried to create some kind of weird Merkaba from their already distorted DNA, which actually killed Mars. So I think that's what they've been trying to do to us, is they've been trying to distort us so that we all go down together. Okay, that's why you got to stop watching their stupid Hollywood and their stupid politics and their stupid religions, because they're keeping you in the low base chakras. You're not able to get the whole thing going, and the whole thing has to go in the first, the second, all the way. All of them have to be going. Okay, so they're trying to black hole us because they know they can't get out of here. All right, they're always going to be in that first and second chakra baloney. Well, for what the work is about the last time this huge coronal mass ejection happened, he's talking about how it's going to relate to your heart, and excessive EMF, natural EMF from our sun, is going to start hitting the southern pole, so it is safer to be north. And what's happening really is a polarity change in the brain. So a couple of weeks ago, I literally felt like there's a chakra in your brain that looks like basically like a crucifix. And I felt mine on March 30th turn. And Claude's did too, the same night. And we didn't talk about it until the morning. It almost felt like I was having an aneurysm. But it was like a etheric feeling, type of like a time structure. So you might feel some things like that go on. And then my body started readjusting itself, which is probably what's going on with my leg too. Like I'm relearning how to walk. I'm getting my polarity organized with the new direction of this vortex that's spinning up in Siberia. Okay, and it's a whole system of a dynamic action, okay? So you've got to watch Aurora's videos to understand how these things work. And I mean, since I've been in bed, she's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant and explains it so well. So this year's Flying Rainbow Lasagna teachings are just phenomenal. And she's got a lot of like weather reports and what's going on out there. So But you got to put in effort, especially people under 25, because you've never even really felt the natural frequencies because so much crappy technology has been here messing with us. So stay away from technology, spend a lot of time in morning sun and evening sun gazing, not so much during the day. Do not look at blue lights or any other weird lights. Stay away from towers and people who are possessed of biosensors because they're transmitting too. Eat good food, the best quality, local. I like what Jack says about that. Like, your body can't process macadamia nuts if it's living somewhere where macadamia nuts don't grow. You need to eat local food that you grow, or, barter with a farmer in your area. Like, the milk that we get is from cows that eat grass that I could walk to their farm. Okay, so that's local food. And be joyful. Start thinking about what we're going to do next. All right, bye-bye for now.